What's going on, everybody? This is David, and today I just wanted to start a discussion about the Steam Machine AKA GabeCube, and if you should purchase one or consider purchasing one for VR to be used with the Steam frame. So we have already confirmation that the Steam Machine is going to be VR capable. It is going to be able to stream and play VR games and stream them over to the Steam frame. So this could potentially create a really good scenario where it could combat something like the PS5 and PSVR 2, right? We have the standalone Quest 3, but obviously there are limitations to the Quest 3 hardware and the graphics that it can output. So the only other kind of ecosystem that we can go to, other than building a whole ass PC and doing it that way, and with all the complications that come with that, is getting a PS5 and PSVR 2. It's a simple plug and play system, and that's something that the Steam Machine can provide as well, is that simple plug and play optimized solution, but with all those juicy PC VR games. Obviously you have a much wider selection of VR games on the PC than we do on the PSVR 2, other than the exclusives we get on the PS5. But I would say that definitely hold your horses. Wait till this thing kind of comes out and then look at some of the reviews before you think about purchasing the Steam Machine for VR. I don't doubt that there are going to be some massive optimizations to this Steam Machine, and it's probably going to provide you like a really smooth wireless experience for your Steam frame if you use the Steam Machine. But there are just some things that optimization cannot do. Remember, this Steam Machine is going to be running basically a mobile 7600, and it's got only 8 gigabytes of VRAM. What is really heavy in VRAM? VR games. Very heavy, because you're having to push so many pixels to your headset. So not only that, but also we have only like 120 gigabytes per second bandwidth. Well, VR is really heavy in the bandwidth as well because of that high resolution. So I don't know. It's weird because the Steam Machine, it has a little bit of better CPU power than like a PS5, but it's got worse GPU power. So you've come into kind of like a weird conundrum where VR is mostly GPU driven. It's not as CPU limited as a lot of flat games are out there. So the Steam Machine is lacking in the GPU department for sure. It is lacking even behind a base 5-year-old PS5. That's how lacking behind it is. And I would honestly caution to say to get a Steam Machine for VR. I think just looking at the specs that you're better off getting the Steam frame and building yourself a Windows based PC, or getting like a laptop or something with more capable graphics cards, specifically an NVIDIA graphics card. AMD GPUs are kind of notorious for not having great encoders. Now, the 9000 series of AMD graphics cards, they do have better encoders, but the older series, the 7000, still has the older encoders, and they're still not as good as NVIDIA, especially with the 50 series of NVIDIA cards. The encoders are just so much more efficient, so much better quality in the new 50 series graphics cards than they are in the AMD cards. I'm confident that Steam is going to be working on optimization for this, but like I said, there are hardware limitations that just cannot be overcome sometimes. It is what it is. AMD is just not the best in encoding. So what this means is that you're going to lose performance versus running a native headset. So the PS5, for example, it is wired. So all it has to do is convert those pixels over a wire straight to your headset. It doesn't have to do any kind of encoding and decoding, right? Which you do lose performance when you do that. All right, you do lose performance. You don't have to do any of that. So it's a straight link to your headset. All it's doing is pushing the pixels and processing your tracking data. But with the Steam frame, it's going to have to do all that, plus encode and decode. I feel like, yes, you're going to definitely be able to stream games to your headset, but you're not going to have that great of experience. This is what I would do. since the Steam frame itself is already a PC, it's already going to be running Steam OS, and you're going to be able to play VR games on the Steam frame itself. I would just get that, and I would then get a PC, a Windows-based PC for those other experiences, right? The games that you can't run on the Steam frame or can't get looking good enough, then hop on to your PC or laptop with the NVIDIA 50 series graphics card and have that stream the footage to your Steam frame. I think that's going to be a better choice or better experience for you. Also, you're going to be able to play with more experiences, right? You're going to be able to experiment with UEVR, Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know how that's all going to work with Steam OS, because Microsoft Flight Simulator and some other games out there, they have their own type of OpenXR thing going on. And also, I believe, those mods for like Cyberpunk and UEVR and stuff like that, they've got their own little APIs going on. So I don't believe that would be compatible unless, there's some modders out there that will make it compatible, or there's going to be some kind of translation layer for that as well. I don't know, but I'm just saying that I think the best choice going forward is going to be, because we already have a standalone PC with the Steam frame. Just use that, play games on that as much as you can, and then just use your PC for the high-end visual experience. I think that's the best thing that you can do. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to get the Steam frame and the Steam Machine if you're specifically getting a Steam Machine for VR. If you're getting Steam Machine just as a standalone PC, you're going to play flat games and VR games, then great. But if you're just going to get it for that optimized VR experience, yeah, it's going to give you an optimized experience, but it's not going to give you the best experience that you can have. All right, so I would just build a PC with at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, or even 12, right? Get like a 5070, maybe like a 5060 Ti, right? 16 gigabytes of VRAM, get 32 gigabytes of RAM. I know how expensive RAM is right now, but I'm just saying maybe it's not going to be like that all the time. And I think you're going to be fine. Yeah, it's going to be a little more expensive than the Steam frame, but you're just going to have a much better experience. But anyways, let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and have a blessed day. Peace.